All right, welcome back to Daily Dose. Israel has been fighting to shut down Qatari broadcaster Al Jazeera from operating in Israel, but Al Jazeera is not the only network in danger. The legal mess over Channel 20's broadcast permissions has Israeli journalists as well worried about their own freedom within the country. Our Ariel Levin-Waldman has more on the controversy.
Is freedom of the press in Israel under siege? It depends on who you ask. Do you ask Al Jazeera, the Qatari-owned network on the verge of losing their press credentials in Israel? Or do you ask Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and other government officials who call the network inciters of violence and terrorism?
We have identified media outlets that do not serve freedom of speech, but endanger the security of Israel's citizens. The main instrument has been Al Jazeera, which actually incited and actually caused us to lose the best of our sons.
The Prime Minister personally intervened to bar Al Jazeera from a government press conference on free speech. This comes just a month after he said he wanted to pass a new law to close the network's Jerusalem offices for good, when he called their coverage of the Temple Mount terror attack and aftermath an act of incitement. But Al Jazeera isn't the only network under threat. Israel's own Channel 20 is also in the crosshairs. An ongoing probe is trying to determine if it exceeded the terms of its broadcast license. Good for Israeli culture, but not news. The network offered discussion and commentary on the Israeli Prime Minister's most recent scandals.
Freedom of expression is central to democracy, both on the left and the right, both when you like it and when you don't.
But Channel 20 has some top defenders, not least of whom is Israel's own president, Reuven Rivlin, who took to social media to defend the network, saying that shutting them down casts a dark shadow over Israeli democracy. While Israel is the only true Middle Eastern democracy, freedom of the press is far from absolute there. International Free Press Watchdog ranks Israel as number 91 in the world for press freedoms, behind even Sierra Leone and tied with Nicaragua.
All right, joining me in studio now is Joelle Fiss. Joelle's a researcher and consultant and human rights expert here. We're going to talk a little bit about a new report that she authored concerning anti-blasphemy laws, particularly in the Muslim world. So many countries have these laws on the books. Talk to us a little bit about the research and kind of where things are going with this very controversial topic around the world.
Right, so about 71 countries in the world have anti-blasphemy laws. That means basically that you can be prosecuted if you criticize or if you deem to have insulted religion or God or the sacred. And so that's very different to, you know, inciting to hatred against an individual. It means basically that the state gets to decide what is truth, what is not truth, what is permissible to discuss in religion, and what is not permissible. And
in this day and age, Joel, are people still being executed, facing long imprisonment because of blasphemy laws, because of their public expressions against what's deemed to be a proper expression of religion?
Yes, well, actually, over 80% of the laws that we measured have the sanction of a prison sentence, which is attached to the law. Now, it doesn't mean that in over 70 countries, everybody gets thrown into jail when they comment about religion. There are certain countries that are more dangerous than others. But it does mean that the rationale behind a state law could empower extremists to sort of stop and curb expression around religion.
From your research, which countries kind of have, the worst track record? You mentioned some countries are more aggressive in these prosecutions, more dangerous than others. Where are we talking specifically?
So we measured a range of countries on the set of a range of indicators. So we took a certain amount of indicators to examine which of the laws could be more risk to abuse, basically, than others. And so we measured freedom of expression, freedom of religion. We measured the state religion. We measured how vague the law is. We measured the penalty. So, for example, if there is the death sentence that is attached as a penalty to to somebody who allegedly committed blasphemy, or if it's a financial fine. You know, those are very different situations. And so through a whole set of criteria, we objectively measured these laws. You have to understand that the coders were not aware of which countries that they were coding when they coded the laws. So they were unaware if they were coding a Muslim majority country or a Christian country or the state of Israel, or they didn't know. So it was all done anonymously for the sake of avoiding cultural or ideological bias. And so we arrived at the situation that Iran has the most dangerous law, and followed very closely by Pakistan. And actually the 5 highest risk of the laws are Muslim majority states. But I just want to say that this is only 50% of the picture. The context of the law is very important as well. So you have the law on one hand, but you also have how the law is applied in practice and how independent the judiciary is, how the police can ensure stability, how the government reacts to Islamist groups, for example,
so you
et cetera,
mentioned Iran and Pakistan being really the worst offenders from an independent kind of coded analysis, studying the law and the impact. Are the laws starting to change? Are they becoming more liberalized or even tougher in the age we live in, social media, digital age? People are posting online, things like that. Are the laws being more aggressively prosecuted, or are people taking a step back?
I think what's very ironic about the internet is that it provides internet users from around the world the illusion of freedom. So, you know, you like a Facebook post, you retweet a comment that you agree with or that you disagree with, but you are out there and you have a sense of false security. But unfortunately, you can be prosecuted for what you say on the internet and what you tweet and what you like and what you comment on. And so, for example, a few weeks ago, there was a Pakistani who has been a Pakistani court has sentenced a man to the death penalty because of a Facebook post, for example, that he made. So these are new situations that are extremely dangerous, and it's very important to speak to social media companies about these kind of abuses, because not all states are equal, so to speak, when it comes to online content and commentary.
Your research is tackling this issue and really tackling the ways that the international community, the U.S., other international bodies as well can get involved. Joelle Fiss, thank you so much for being with us here on the program today. And at home, stay with us because we have a lot more news to cover when Daily Dose returns after a short break. Still to come. The internet saves the day as always. It's time for the Daily Dose Viral Spiral. Some of the most popular videos going viral today from the World Wide Web. Stay tuned.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what you've come for. It's main event time.
Oh, I've missed this.
I'm putting together a team.
This team of yours,